my name is Kennedy Carter and I'm going to teach you today how to take botanical photographs on a film camera. Okay, so the camera I'll be shooting with is a Minolta X370 and I will be using Kodak Gold 200 film. Can you stop it? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to load your film, and you do this by pulling up this top part or whatever, and then you got to make sure the pointy part, this part right here, is at the bottom while facing down. So this little, the rod can go through it. And so you're going to pull this and then push it into this little slot and get your film hooked like this. And then I feel like I put too much in there, so I'm gonna pull it back a little. Okay, you can stop now. Okay, so that took like 23,000 hours or whatever, but this is how it's gonna look when you've loaded it correctly. And then you close it, make sure this thing is down so the spigot rod part or whatever can go through. And then you're ready. Okay, and so you're gonna make it shutter a few times to get your film all the way around this little rod part over here, right? And then you take a few fake photos or whatever, and then you're ready after like 4 or 3. Okay, can you close it up? So when you're taking film photos, there's like 3 things that you got to pay attention to: the ISO, the exposure, and the aperture. You already have your ISO because the film has an ISO attached to it, and mine was a Kodak 200, so therefore my ISO is 200. Okay, can you pause? So the second thing of those 3 that you have to take into consideration is the aperture. The aperture pretty much determines how much light is going to be let through the lens, as well as how blurry the lens, like the depth of field that your photograph is going to have, and how blurry it'll be in the background. So to take my photo, since I want mine, my photograph to have a kind of a greater depth of field to emphasize the plant that I'll be taking photos of, I'm going to put it on a 2.8 instead of a 1.7 to let in a little less light but still give it some more depth of field. And you adjust that aperture setting on this camera like this. And so I put it on 2.8 by doing that. See? 2.8. No, you gotta be closer on the camera. Are you recording? Okay, so the last thing that you have to take into consideration is the exposure / the shutter speed. And you adjust it using this dial towards the front of the camera right here. So as you move it, the numbers adjust, basically showing like what exposure that you're gonna like want to use or whatever. And so since my camera is on a 2.8 aperture, I'm gonna want a 125 exposure. But since I'm shooting on exposed film, I'm gonna up this 2 stops, leaving it at 500. So now that I've adjusted all my settings, I'm going to be shooting some photographs in my backyard. Can you sit? Okay, can you stop it now? Alright, and so yeah, that's basically how you take botanical photography photos on a film camera. After this whole process of taking photos, all you'd have to do is go get them processed. I don't do the processing myself. I go somewhere and get them processed. Or you can do it yourself because you were overachiever. But yeah, that is how you take botanical photographs on a film